Madu upon you, Jerusalem, stand and face Jerusalem. Jerusalem is this way. You already explained to him. Okay, got it. Blessing of the Sabbath. Barakatah Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathalanawa, Hashabath, Bashalawam, Zawada, Aman. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, or the Most High, in the name of Christ, that gives to us the Sabbath and peace. Thank you, so be it. The Ha'ayim Ma'ad, Asherayim Akkad, Psalms 121. Anya Harayim Mayanyam Ya Oh Haharayim Mayan Yabawa Isaiah Yabawa Mayahawa Shaisha Shamayim Wa'aratiza La'a Yanathan Lamawat Regalia Yala'a Yanawum Shashamarka, Hana, La'a, Yanawum, Wala'a, Yayashun, Shashuma, Yashirala, Yahweh, Shamaya, Yahweh, Tazalia, Ayel, Yad, Yamyan Yad, Yawamum, Hashamash, La'a, Hakaya, Wayarak, La'a, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashemaya, Makal, Ra, Yashemar, Napasha, Yahweh, Yashemar, Hawalakya, Wabawaya, Ma'aitha, Wa'ai, Aiwalam, Bahasham, Yahweh, so water, Amen.
Psalms 121. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Amen.
Shema Yashrela, hear, O Israel. Shema Yashrela, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, Akkad. Shema Yashrela, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, Akkad. Shema Yashrela, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, Akkad.
Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Amen.
Amen. Tapala Yahweh, the Lord's Prayer. Abiyanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Sabbath, Ratazawanka, Haya, Aisha, Barataza, Ka, Bashamayim, Nathalanawa, Lakam, Yawum, Za, Wasalakwanawa, Kababwathnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kababwathanawa, Wala'a, Habiyanawa, O, Nasaiwan, Abo, Hawashinawa, Marad, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahatha Pa'arath, La'aywalam, Amen.
Matthew 6:9. After this manner, therefore, pray, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
Hi, Shira Mataz Waf, the Ten Commandments. La'ah, Yahaya, Lakah, Alahayim, Akarium, Alpanya, La'ah, Daisha, Lakah, Paso, Wala'ah, Thaibadum, La'ah, Talakwaka, Shumwa, Yahweh, Alahayaka, Lashua, Zakar, Ath, Hayawum, Hashabath, Laquadashwa, Kabad, Abiyaka, Wa'amaka, La'ah, Daratazak, La'ah, Dana'ah, La'ah, Daganab, La'ah, Daina, Shukwo, La'ah, Dakamad, Ko, Asherah, Lara'aika, Amen.
Exodus 20:2. I am the Lord thy God, which I brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy on thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and holiday. Honor thy father and thy mother, that their days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Amen.
Amen. Shabbat, be seated. Barak the Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathalanawa, Par Yahagapin, Thuada Amun, La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Ath Yasha'ala. English translation: Blessed are you, Yahweh Bahashem. It's like, blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, or the Most High in the name of Christ, that gives to us the fruit of the vine or the wine. Thank you, so be it, to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai with Israel. I Madwaf upon you, all Jerusalem, stand and face Jerusalem. Barakatha Yahweh, Hagadol, Rakwam, Abiyah, Wanara'ah, Aliyawan, Malak, Shal, Shemayim, Wa'aratazah, Wako, Dabayim, Kayayim, Wagum, Hamashiach, Mayahawa, Adawan Ahab Noah, Apalah, Yahweh Yahweh Shah, Zakar Noah, Yahweh, Marataza 1, Ainka, Yasha'ala, Izar Noah, Bana, Wasap, Yasha'ala, O, Nanawa, Yum Yun, Aitha, Kayawamyam, Makwadam, Babakusha, Shalat, Mayaka'ala, Wahataz Wadat, Alahayim, La, Maganawa, Rapanawa, Washamar, Alnawa, Ba'akwar, Shalat, Harokan, Sho, Yahawashai, Lanawa, Lalamadnawa, Rabiam, Hakama, Thabawana, Wada'aith, Sho, the Barka, Ba'asham, Yahawashai, Thawada, Thamyad, Waiwalam, Amun. English translation. Blessed are you, Most High, the great, merciful, mighty, terrible, Most High power, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. And also the anointed from Yahweh, our Lord, our friend, the wonderful counselor, Yahweh Shai. Remember us, Yahweh, favorably, your people, Israel. Help us build and gather Israel. Most High, we beg you, right now, like the days of old, please send Michael and the righteous powers and angels to protect us, heal us, and watch over us. Mainly send the spirit of Yahweh Shai to us, to teach us much wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of thy word. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you always and forever, so be it. Read the Hebrew only. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the law. Barakatah Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Athalanawa, Hatharah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us light to see. Barakatah Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Athalanawa, War, La Ra'awah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the ram's horn to call the people. Barakatah Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Athalanawa, Quran, Ha'ayol, La Quran, Ha'ain. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the olive oil to anoint Israel. Barakatah Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Athalanawa, Hashaman, Zayath, Lamashak, Yasha'ala. Shabbat, be seated. All right, shalom. Peace to all the brothers and sisters that's listening on the teleconference or listening on the teleconference, and those that's watching on the live stream. Happy Sabbath, or Shah Shabbat in the Hebrew. This is Hayashar Kanas, which stands for the Congregation of Israel, translated in Hebrew, from Hebrew to English, right? Where we're located here in Philadelphia, Germantown Avenue. We teach the law, statutes, commandments found in the Bible, teach the history, geography, prophecies, fruits of the spirit, ideology, as far as the origins of nations, so forth and so on. There's so much that we gather from the book: morals, civil code, dietary laws, ceremonial laws, to get a gist of a lot of the things that we read in the Bible. I think by now a lot of people are aware of the different Hebrew camps and schools and teachings that are out there, that to the best of our ability, we bring forth the Most High's word. And in today's time and today's climate, where, all around the world, all across the globe, you're getting unity centered around so-called black and brown men, right? Specifically black people. where they're talking about Black Lives Matter. And you're having a lot of different protests that's going on, not just United States, but in almost every major city to bring awareness to the Black plight that has been happening, whether it's through injustice laws, whether it's police brutality, or just systemic racism that's been carried on. So you see a lot of these different protests and things going on. Well, the Most High's servants have been protesting for generations, for years. Every empire, the Most High has always sent out his prophets and seers to go out and protest against the nations, or to go exhort our own people to come back to the Most High, right? Exhort our own to realize that these are punishments and judgments that have been placed upon us because we left his commandments to go follow other ways and cultures and philosophies. I'm gonna read this real quick before we get into today's Sabbath service lesson. This is Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. Zephaniah 2 and verse 1. Ariel, if you could read that, Baba Kushah.
Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together, ye gather together, O nation not desired.
Right. So that's something that has been consistent throughout different empires, where we have been a nation that has not been desired, not cared for, right? Mistreated, misused, abused throughout different empires, to the same thing that's in this last one. So the Most High says to gather ourselves together. Right now, we're not just talking about gathering together in a form of a march or a protest, because what happens is a lot of times when we gather together, we find out that we just Black people coming together because George Floyd or someone got shot, which is cool, but we don't gather together with the same understanding of mind state. That's why right now they're saying, well, what's the agenda? What's the end goal for Black Lives Matter? Are we talking about just changing laws for police? Are we just talking about voting? Are we talking about getting land? I don't know what we're talking about. So the Most High is saying that we're supposed to gather ourselves together as a nation that's not accepted globally by everyone else, but gather where? Read.
Verse 2. Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you.
Right. So the Lord is giving a timetable, is giving a warning. He said, listen, you got to come back. You got to gather together before the time runs out, before the fierce anger of the Lord comes down. Because right now, the Most High is angry. He's been angry. A lot of things that's happening is because of his judgment that's coming down in the earth. So most of our people are seeing the Most High judgment, but not aware that it's coming from the Most High, right? We're blaming science, or we're blaming this person, but the Most High controls all. He uses man, or he uses animals, he uses the earth to bring forth his judgment. So he says, listen, you better come back to me now before the decree break forth, before he sends that judgment for the angels to come down that's scattered throughout the four corners to bring the real judgment, right? So before that happens, we're supposed to do something. Read the third verse.
Verse 3. Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger.
Right. So the first thing, you're supposed to seek ye the Lord, right? Like Christ told him, he says, seek ye the kingdom of heaven first, and all things shall be added unto you, right? Seeking the kingdom is just not going and shouting and praising and praying. No, you have to find out about the Most High's statutes, his judgments, his will, what he requires of a man or a woman or a child or a parent or a brother. All of these things are documented in the Bible. So when he says seek his righteousness, it's talking about seeking his law, right? Then it says seek meekness. it may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. So there's my chance. Most of us that are in this truth now might be hid, meaning protected, right? Held away from that third world's war, the nuclear bombs are supposed to hit, being lifted up by the chariots when the Most High sends Christ and the angels down, that they can now come and deliver us. It may be that we may be hid from that, right? Or for those who don't seek the Most High's righteousness, they're going to fall to their own peril, right? That's going to be the judgment. We see it's getting worse and worse and worse. So the Most High has always sent out his prophets, his seers, to go out and warn the people, but also protest against the other nations for what they've been doing, right? I'll get one more scripture. This is Isaiah 13. Right. So the one part that we just read in Zephaniah is the calling or the gathering of us to come back to the Most High. Right. This part is the part where we're talking about the protest, right? To go and protest all the iniquity and the sins of the nations that's been going on. And this is what the Most High had always instructed prophets of the Most High to do in the past as well. So this is Isaiah, the 13th chapter, and start at verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 13, verse 1. The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah, the son of Amoz, did see.
Right. So this is the burden or the judgment that's going to happen or befall Babylon. Right. So we had an ancient Babylon and there's a modern day Babylon. Right. So you can look at modern day Babylon and see that it follows the same practices and customs of ancient Babylon. But the Most High even projected or prophesied about what this modern day Babylon would be doing and where we would fit in that time frame. But now this is something specific that I wanted to get out of. Read the second verse.
Verse 2. Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain. Exalt the voice unto them.
Hold on, read that again.
Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain.
So when what's a banner? When it says lift up a banner? That's the Most High scriptures, right? When you look at a traditional banner, something like that, that's up there. It's a big banner that's scrolled off on a long piece of type of material. Same thing, the original scrolls that we had was like this, right? And when you roll it out, keep rolling out, looks like a what? A banner, right? But in this banner is what, like you said, the Most High's word, the Most High's judgment. So like you was reading in the class this evening pertaining to Belshazzar, the writing was on the wall. So the Most High had written the different time periods of what kings were going to rule at certain times, right? So now we know that this kingdom right here that we're in is the last kingdom that has to rule before Christ's kingdom comes into play, before Christ's reign begins, right? So now, prior to that happening, it says that you have to lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain. What's the high mountain talking about? The governments, right? Because a mountain is represented as a government when you read the Bible. Even the Most High's mountain, it talks about Mount Zion. It's not talking about an actual physical mountain in a lot of these cases, it's talking about the people, the government of the Most High. So now it says, lift ye up a banner unto the high mountain. It's talking about the actual governments that are established in the earth. It says what?
Exalt the voice unto them.
Uh-huh.
Shake the hand.
Uh-huh.
That they may go into the gates of the noble.
Right. So now it says when you go to these governments, you're supposed to exalt the voice, meaning speak the Most High's word, his judgment unto them, and shake the hand. Shaking the hand is like telling somebody off. When you wagging the finger, you done some bad stuff to our people over the centuries that you've been in power, right? So that when they hear the judgment, they can run into the gates of their nobles or their leaders, right? Your congressmen, your legislators, your presidents, your kings, right? All these people who are top officials in these governments can go in here and like, yo, these people out here talking about our kingdom is going to fall and the God's judgment is going to come upon them. Same thing like what happened during the time of Moses and Pharaoh. Moses had to go and exalt the voice unto Pharaoh, right? Let my people go. Let them come and serve me. That's what the same thing is going on right now. Y'all have been doing a lot of things to us. Let us be now. Stop killing us. Stop beating us. Stop calling us by these names. And they're like, okay, here, they put a little thing here. Okay, Sean, we'll take the chokehold away. But it still continues. So they can't say that they have never heard of it. They have never heard the Most High exalted his voice to them by way of using his prophets and his seers. So that's the same thing now. We cannot align ourselves with an organization, even though those are our people. But the premise of it is not the Most High's premise. It's not the Most High's commandments that's being spoken to them. It is asking for something. It is saying, please, can you give me this? Or please, can you do this? This is not that. This is saying this is what's going to happen, right? Whether you like it or not, this is happening, and this will happen in the days to come. So that's what the Most High now, his movement is different from any other man's movement, where they go out and they rally and congregate and assemble with people who have been doing the same things to them in other empires and generations, right? So the Most High has his own protest going. At the same time he has a protest going, he has a rebuilding going. He has an upliftment going. So two things are happening at the same time. And that's what this has always been about, right? Going to the highways and the byways, but also gathering our people under this, all right? So those are the two scriptures I wanted to bring out. But today, we're going to be in the Old Testament for the Sabbath service, Deuteronomy. We're going Old Testament, New Testament, and then the Apocrypha. We're in the Old Testament right now. All right, so we're in Deuteronomy, the 29th chapter for today's Sabbath service lesson. These two chapters are chapters reminding us of the agreements that we made with the Most High, the things that is a reminder of what the Most High had done for us coming out of Egypt, and what our mind state was to be moving forward, that we always should consider the agreement that our forefathers made. And when we say our forefathers, keeping in mind that those are us, meaning through the regeneration of the spirit, or what we call reincarnation, a lot of us are those same spirits that made those agreements, separated by 3 or 4 generations back then with the Most High. And we entered into it several different times, but we are the ones who the Most High made this covenant, oath, agreement with back then, coming out of Egypt and in the wilderness. So we're in Deuteronomy, the 29th chapter. We're going to start at verse 1. So it says, these are the words of the covenant or agreement which the Lord commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb, right? So now this is a reestablishing of the agreement that the Most High made with Israel for when we first did it in Horeb, and now we're going through it again in Moab. So go back to the 5th chapter, Deuteronomy chapter 5. And I'm going to start at 1. So Deuteronomy 5:1 says, and Moses called all Israel and said unto them, hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them and keep them and do them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. The Lord made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us who all of us here are alive this day, right? Reminding them that when we came out of Egypt, right, the generation of adults or our parents that came out of Egypt over time, through the 40 years, died off, right? They all died off. Why? Through what? Disobedience. But disobedience and sin, right? Because the Most High was now weeding us out. We was in the proving grounds, right? To see if we would listen to the Most High. When you read the history, we found out a lot of us murmured against the Most High. And we're going to read in the chapter about some of the things that the Most High had done for us, and we still murmured and complained. So the Most High said, nah, they're not going to be the ones that's going to be the first ones to walk into my holy land, my promised land. I need a generation of people who are going to listen and accept and do what I'm asking them to do without complaint, right? So this is the reminding of the agreement that the Most High had made. So they realized and said, he made it with our forefathers, but now is doing it with us that are here today, not just with them because they're gone. We're still standing here today, right? So this is the reminding of the agreement. It's the same thing that you have to do every time. Every generation is reminding the agreement that we entered into, right? We can't break it. Regardless of if you don't keep it, guess what happens? You just fall into the judgments. You fall into the punishments, which we fall into right now, right? The Most High knows and realizes that he wouldn't break the agreement. We would break the agreement. If we broke the agreement, curses was going to happen to us. That's what we read a couple of weeks ago, or several weeks ago, in Deuteronomy 28th chapter. Of all the curses, not all of them, some of them, all the curses that would happen to the nation of Israel for breaking the agreement: slavery, our children being sold off, black on black crime. We're working on fields and lands and not reaping the benefits. There's a lot of things, the madness, us going out of our minds because of the oppression that's upon us. The Most High would push that down on us so that we are reminded as a token that says, yep, this is what the Most High said would happen to us if we didn't do his will. It's like a child being punished by his parent. I'm your mother, I'm your father. But if you don't do what I say do, you're going to have to get this beaten. And sometimes that is a mental stain on some of the children. I remember when my mother used to beat me, she'd tell me, go get the switch. I go outside and go on a tree and break it off and and she'd tell me from the window, take them leaves off before they come in the house. You like, oh man, it's a mental stain on you just to remember when you was growing up getting beat by your parents, right? So now here it is in the scriptures, the Lord has it as a reminder throughout our different generations that you guys entered into this. So when I jack you up, you can't say nothing, right? So it's always been a reminder. And it wasn't just so that, you know, sometimes parents can be oppressive on their kids. The Most High is not oppressive on us. The Most High is like, look, if you do what I ask you to do, I give you the best of the land. I will be a God or a power only to you. What more can you ask for if the living power has chosen you and said, if you do what I ask in these statutes, you won't have to worry about nothing. All the other nations I created will be in subject to you. But we just didn't want to deal with that. I don't know why, as a people. So we see where we are today, going through those judgments or those punishments that the Most High said, if you don't want to get the best of the land, if you don't want to receive my blessings, I'm going to give you the opposite, which is the cursings. And that's what we're going through right now. So now let's go back to Deuteronomy 29. Actually, go one more. Go to Exodus 24. Exodus 24. And 3. So Exodus 24 and 3 says, and Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which the Lord have said, we will do, right? Kun. So that's the agreement. That's the covenant. When the Most High laid it out, what say you? We agree. We're going to do it. Most High, we're going to move out on this, right? and everything seemed great. Everything seemed grand until the Most High now says, okay, now I'm going to test you. Now I'm going to see if you're really going to do my will, right? Now I'm going to really see if you understand me as being your power and if you love me with all your heart. We got to go through some trials first, right? So now when we go back to Deuteronomy 29 and verse 2, it says, and Moses called unto all Israel and said unto them, ye have seen all that the Lord did before your eyes in the land of Egypt unto Pharaoh and unto all his servants and unto all his land. Great temptations which thine eyes have seen, the signs and those great miracles, right? So we bear witness to these things. The Most High says that we are his witnesses, right? No other nation can claim that fact. So you have like the Jehovah's Witnesses, which is mixed up of a different. Well, the Most High has one nation that has been titled as being his witnesses. It is the nation of Israel. Write down Isaiah. I think it's 44. Isaiah 40. Yeah, it's two. It's 1 in 44 and it's 1 in 43. Let's do both. So 43 and 10. Actually, before we read 43 and 10, you have to read 43 and 1. It says, but now thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel. Fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine, right? So that's the subject of the chapter. Then when you jump down to verse 10, it says, ye are my witnesses, saith the Lord, and my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me, there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me, right? So we are the witnesses to declare that to the world. The Most High has not chosen another nation to have that right to go and declare the Most High's judgments or his testimonies before anyone else. So the same thing in chapter 44 and verse 7. So chapter 44 verse 7 says, and who as I shall call and shall declare it and set it in order for me, since I appointed the ancient people and the things that are coming and shall come, let them show unto them. Fear ye not, neither be afraid. Have not I told thee from that time and have declared it? Ye are even my witnesses. Is there a God beside me? Yeah, there is no God. I know not any. So the Most High's will has been declared to the children or the nation of Israel. The Most High's authority has been placed upon us to be the witness to carry that forward. So you cannot have another nation or another person to carry forth the Most High's witness outside of the nation of Israel, right? One more, Romans 9. Romans 9 and 4. So Romans 9 and 4 says, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption? So when you read this verse, as we all know, this verse is specifically highlighting Israel and their importance and what their duties are, or the things that are given to them exclusively. So it says, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption? To be adopted back to the Most High through Christ only pertains to Israel. It says, and the glory and the covenants. We're reading the covenants right now. The agreements that was made with the Most High and the nation on the earth only pertain to Israel, and the glory that comes with it. Then it says, and the giving of the law, right? So the giving of the law was only pertaining to Israel. The Most High only gave the law to the children of Israel. This is the piece that I wanted out of here. It says, and the service of God. The service of God means what? If you're doing a service for God, that means you're a what of God? A servant of God. So the service pertains to the Israelites. That's what this is all talking about here. Then it says, and the promises that were made pertain only to the Israelites. So as we read here in Isaiah 44 and 43, it carries over into the New Testament, the same thing in Romans. When we look at Israel holistically, the Most High always, still, and will forever only deal with the nation of Israel as his top nation, right? He will judge us and punish us, but he will not break the covenant or the oath and keeping Israel as the apple of his eye or his chosen and favorite people. So go back to Deuteronomy now. So I'm going to read verse 3 again. It says, the great temptations which thine eyes have seen, the signs and those great miracles. Verse 4, yet the Lord have not given you an heart to perceive, and eyes to see, and ears to hear unto this day, right? So now, even though Israel saw all these things, to fully process it, they didn't have that, right? They didn't have that understanding. You almost can correlate this to like when you read in the Gospels with Christ, when Christ was forecasting his death, when Christ was talking about that, Jonah was in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be. The disciples didn't process, even though they heard him say it, they didn't understand and comprehend. Even though Israel saw these miracles happening, blood and the death and the darkness and the lice and the flies and the locusts, they didn't fully comprehend it yet, as far as for the Most High and his omnipotency and what that meant to the nation of Israel exclusively. They hadn't gotten it yet. Now the Most High is now about to try to bring this to remembrance, try to give them comprehension about what it is they're about to embark on before going into the Holy Land, right? It says, read 4 again, yet the Lord have not given you an heart to perceive and eyes to see and ears to hear unto this day. And I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes are not waxing old upon you, and thy shoe is not waxing old upon thy foot, right? You can link this with the same thing that was mentioned in chapter 8 of the same Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 8. And I'm going to read verse 2. Going to highlight the same thing, but go a little bit more deeper into what was being done at this time. Deuteronomy 8 and 2. So it says, and thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. It says, and he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live. Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. So now the deliverance of the children of Israel coming out of Egypt, going into a land which was a wilderness, and it was several different wildernesses that the Most High had us wandering around for 40 years, right? Staying in these makeshift homes or tabernacles or tents or booths. And we was moving from place to place, being led by the chariot. So the Most High had the chariot, most people call it UFO, was there. And it tells us when the chariot rested, the children of Israel pitched their tents and stayed there. When the chariot raised up and started moving, children of Israel had to quickly pack up their stuff and follow the chariot wherever it went, stop. And that's what we did for 40 years. So the Lord says, while you was going through all this, your clothes didn't get all holy and ripped and torn. I took care of you. Your sandals didn't get all beat. Your feet didn't swell up. You know how sometimes people they go to work for 8 hours and be like, man, I've been on my feet all day. And they get home and they put their feet up and they look like, look, my feet is all swollen from standing on the feet all day long. Man, 40 years we was wandering around. The Most High said that never happened to you. What I was doing was trying to prove you. I forcibly see what was going to happen to y'all if y'all got hungry. So I waited to see. I said, you know what? Let me see what's going to happen. I'm going to hold back a little bit and ain't got no food. They ran out of what they came out of Egypt with. So let's see what happens. And they said, what we going to do, Moses? We're going to come out here and die? Ain't no food. We should go back. Right? And the Most High said, no, I got you. Right? I'm going to prepare food for you that your fathers never seen. They never ate what I'm about to give you. And the Most High gave us the quails. He gave us the manna. And guess what we did? Complained. Right? We were talking about this a few weeks ago. How can you complain about food that was never tasted by man on the planet Earth in that regard, by a nation? Our ancient father never had it. And it was enticing to everyone's palate. Eat the same piece of manna, it has 7 different tastes of the same thing. How can you complain? Like I said, today, I would not need to go to no supermarket, rely on nothing. The Most High is going to give me flesh to eat and manna to eat as well. I'm good, right? Every other day, I'm imagining in my mind what I want to taste, and I eat it and I taste it. How can you go wrong with that? But no, proving Israel was like, man, it's just a bunch of complainers. And the Lord said, y'all complaining. Some of y'all got to go. You got to go. They got to go. All got to go. And they start dropping like flies until a newer generation came up and see what happened before them with their parents and their fathers, and now being reintroduced to the Most High, right? That's what the Lord is reminding us what happened and now setting the standard again. So now coming back to Deuteronomy 29. Verse 5 again, it says, and I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes are not waxing old upon you, and thy shoe is not waxing old upon thy foot. Ye have neither eaten bread, neither have you drunk wine or strong drink, that ye may know that I am the Lord thy God, right? So does it mean that they didn't eat anything? Because that's what it says. Ye have not eaten bread, neither have you drunken wine or strong drink. What is that talking about? Because we just read the Most High just fed them. So we know that they didn't starve in the wilderness. It just goes to show you that the Most High had it where they didn't have to prepare anything for themselves. The Most High gave it to them. The Most High rained down and provided manna for them. The Most High put the quails on the earth for them to go. They didn't have to go and do and toil for those things to be done. The Lord provided all, right? And then he stopped once we got into the land of Israel. Once we got into the land of Israel, it tells you in the book of Joshua that there was no more manna after that. Now the law was there, right? We had to learn and be reminded and get the breakdowns and the understandings about, you can't sow seed in the 7th year, and you can't do this and you can't do that. And now when you get in the land, this is how it has to happen. All right, now you're on your own. Right? That's what was the Most High was doing. So now verse 6, again, ye have not eaten bread, neither have you drunk wine or strong drink, that ye may know that I am Yahweh thy power, or the Lord thy God. And when ye came out, and when ye came unto this place, Sihon the king of Heshbon and Og the king of Bashan came out against us unto battle, and we smote them, right? So when you now came into the land, the inhabitants of the land, the indigenous people that was there, who didn't know that that was the Most High's chosen people, chosen place, they came out to defend what they thought was theirs. But the Most High had already promised that that was going to be of his righteous seed, starting back from Abraham. He had told their forefather that he was going to give them that land. So the Lord said they came out to fight against us, and guess what? We smote them, right? We defeated them, not Israel by themselves. The Most High and Israel defeated them. We can't defeat or conquer as a nation of people without the Most High, right? We got to have the Most High for us to conquer and excel, right? You got to say something, sis? We, exactly, right? That's the most important piece the Most High always wants to drive home is we always got to remember him. Don't forget him in what we do. Go back to Deuteronomy 8 real quick. Deuteronomy 8 and 11. Deuteronomy 8 and 11 says, beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God, and not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses and dwelt therein, and when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, and all that thou hast is multiplied, then thine heart be lifted up, and thou forget the Lord thy God, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage, who led thee through the great and terrible wilderness, wherein fiery serpents and scorpions and drought, where there was no water, who brought thee forth water out of the rock of flint, who fed thee in the wilderness with manna, which thy fathers knew not, that he might humble thee, and that he might prove thee, to do thee good at thy latter end, right? So this is the training, that's what they say, the proving grounds, so that when you get to the end, that you now can stand and sustain yourself. That was the point of it all. It says, and thou say in thine heart, my power and the might of mine hand have gotten me this wealth. So when the Most High now blesses us with the land and blesses us with the fruits of our labors, and we start building up and establishing, you got your cattle and your flocks is all multiplied, and your family and everything else, and then after a while, time goes on and you forget how we got here. You forget that the Most High was the one that supplied all of this for you. And then you start to become prideful and selfish, thinking that it was my hands that really built that house for the past 9 months and got this. It was my hands that went out there and plotted that seed in the dirt, and it came up. I did that, right? And you forget that the Most High is the one that waters the seed for you, right? How did you get the water to cultivate your seed? The Most High. But our minds are thinking solely on what we do and not what the Most High's blessing gives us. Exactly. All right. And then it says, verse 18, but thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he sware unto thy fathers, as it is this day. So the Most High doesn't want us to be his nation, but a nation that's lacking, right? A nation that's destitute of knowledge, or destitute of wisdom, or destitute of wealth. The Most High wants all of that for us, but he doesn't want it for us if we don't pay homage that we are getting it from him. So that's why it says, you forget that he giveth thee power to get the wealth, right? He gave us that so that we can sustain ourselves. But for whatever we do, we always got to remember the Most High. It says, and it shall be if thou do at all forget the Lord thy God, and walk after other gods and serve them and worship them, I testify against you this day that ye shall surely perish. So that's why, again, we are killed and shot down and murdered and beaten and raped and robbed as a people, because the Most High, who gave us the power, guess what he did? He took it away. The power was given for us to stand on our own, but then he took it away, right? Even psychologically, look at it, because we know that physically we're the most dominant nation in the earth. The 12 tribes, starting from the so-called Negroes to the West Indians, to the Haitians, to the Dominicans, we are the most dominant, powerful, physically and mentally strong nation. But without the Most High, we can't stand before any nation. The Most High takes that away from us. All right. So now it says, last verse, as the nations which the Lord destroyed before your face, so shall ye perish, because you would not be obedient unto the voice of the Lord your God. So the same people that he destroyed before us, now we're going to be destroyed before them. All right. So now let's go back. Deuteronomy 29. Shalom. Deuteronomy 29 and 8. It says, and we took their land and gave it for an inheritance unto the Reubenites and the Gadites and to the half tribe of Manasseh. Right. So now it's going into what the Most High had done when we went out to these lands and started to take over for what was our rightful inheritance. Right. And when you read the history, remember when we were going into the land on this side Jordan, there was a portion of the land that was given to these tribes, and then they had to make an agreement that they was going to go and fight with us on the other side of Jordan. And if they did that, then they could have that land that was on the east side of Jordan, right? That was the agreement. Verse 9, it says, keep therefore the words of this covenant and do them, that ye may prosper in all that ye do, right? Same thing that's spoken of in Joshua, the first chapter. Joshua chapter 1. And 8. Joshua 1 and 8. That would come out if you could read that.
Joshua 1 and 8. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success.
Right. So this was a declaration to all Israel that if we did this, we would be a prosperous nation. Now, someone would say, well, you have some of our people who are prosperous, but as a nation, we are not. Right. Remember, the Most High deals with us as a nation, not just the individuals that says, OK, yeah, he or they or these little few. And those who are so-called prosperous are not prosperous based on this standard. So it's temporal. Right. They have abused this world in gaining their riches, and they're going to go right along with it when it goes out, when it is destroyed or the new system comes in. They're going to follow right along with it. Thus saith the Lord, when you read in 1 Corinthians 7. Right. So this book of the law is what we're supposed to speak about. The things that we deal with or encounter, our circumstances, how we make decisions should come from this, right? No, I'm not dealing with that brother's wife, even though he's over in the war somewhere and he left her. Nah, I'm not doing that. That's adultery, man. That's the Most High's law, right? I wouldn't want someone to do that to me if it was me on the other side of that. Right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, as they say, right? Love thy neighbor as you love yourself. So all of these things now becomes our diction. It becomes our way of thinking. That's what the Lord wants. And then once that happens, then we become prosperous, especially for the elect, the chosen, the remnant that's left in these last days, because the Most High knows that 2/3 of our people will not meditate on those words. So now going back to Deuteronomy 29, and we have verse 10. So Deuteronomy 29 and 10, it says, ye stand this day, all of you, before the Lord your power. your captains of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, with all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and thy stranger that is in thy camp, from the hewer of thy wood unto the drawer of thy water, right? So the hewer of the wood or the drawer of the water is supposed to be symbolic of what? Lower level, but
ordinary people, ordinary, with the average person.
Average person.
Who do, mean what?
Go to Joshua. Go to Joshua, the 9th chapter. Joshua 9. And I'm going to start at 16. Read this quick. Joshua 9:16. We're in Deuteronomy 29.
29, 30.
Come. So this is Joshua chapter 9 and verse 16. It's right after Deuteronomy. So if you was in Deuteronomy, it's the book right after Deuteronomy. Just go a few pages up, and then you'll see Joshua in the 9th chapter. Come. So Joshua 9:16, it says, and it came to pass at the end of 3 days, after they had made a league with them, that they heard that they were neighbors and that they dwelt among them, right? So this is when now the Most High, being led by Joshua, was having us go through and start to smite and destroy the Hamites that was in the land. This group of people was conniving and lied and said that they were from a far place. They wasn't per people who lived in that region. So they went and made a league with these people who were liars, right? But unknowingly, right? They didn't go and talk to the leaders of the elders before they went and did this. So it says in 17, and the children of Israel journeyed and came unto their cities on the 3rd day. So now these same people, as they're now marching that they just made a league with, they come upon their cities now. It says, now their cities were Gibeon and Chiphaphirah and Berel-Ramoth and Kirjath-Jearim. And the children of Israel smote them not, because the princes of the congregation had sworn unto them by the Lord God of Israel. And all the congregation murmured against the princes. So they was like, hold on, we're supposed to go and smite them, but we can't. Why? Because the princes made an agreement or an oath with them that they would never do that to them. So now what's going on? People is mad. They upset in the camp. Yo, why would he say that? Why would they do that? That's all messed up. So now it's a lot of jostling and going on in the camp, right? So now we got to have a resolve, because we're supposed to do one thing, but now you can't break your oath, right? You can't break the agreement that you made. So it says, verse 19, but all the princes said unto the congregation, we have sworn to them by the Lord God of Israel. Now, therefore, we may not touch them, meaning physically do harm to them or smite them or kill them. Verse 20, this we will do to them. We will even let them live, lest wrath be upon us because of the oath which we swear unto them. So the first half, we got to let them live, because if we go and we kill them, then we now have just made an oath with the Most High that we wouldn't do it. We would have broken that oath, and now the Most High judgment comes upon us. So we can't do anything to them physically. Verse 21, and the princes said unto them, let them live, but let them be hewers of wood and drawers of water unto all the congregation, as the princes have promised them. So now we said, we're going to let them alive, but they got to be the ones that's going to go fetch our water. We need to build. They're going to be the ones that's going to go and chop down the wood and trees and things of that nature. Do that hard, laborious work for us. Verse 22, and Joshua called for them, and he spake unto them, saying, wherefore have ye beguiled us or tricked us, saying, we are very far from you when you dwell among us, right? Why did y'all do that? That's messed up, man. Y'all some liars, man. Okay, I got something. Verse 23, now therefore ye are cursed, and there shall none of you be freed from being bondmen and hewers of wood and drawers of water, for the house of my power, or the house of my God, or the nation of Israel. Right? So now you have been cursed as a nation that you now have to, you're not going to die, but you're going to all be in captivity or paying tribute unto us. Right? So now that is what it means when it talks about being a hewer of wood or a drawer of water, because it comes up later also in Judges, because we also then began to fill that same scenario where we were drawers of water and hewers of wood in our captivity. Right? So when it uses that type of expression, we got to understand the context and the meaning. So this was a good story to bring that out clear. So anytime you hear further on in other scripture, you know what it's talking about. Right? So now as we go back to Deuteronomy 29, back to Deuteronomy 29. And 11. It says, your little ones, your wives, and the stranger that is in thy camp, from the hewer of thy wood unto the drawer of thy water. Right? So this is dealing with the actual heathens. Right? So when we had the law, when we received the law, we were a nation that was wandering around in the wilderness. Right? And the Most High was speaking to us, giving us these commandments. So now we would say, okay, when we get into our future lands, that we're going to have people from the indigenous area that are going to be amongst us. So the law had to be perfect enough so that it took account for them, right? So we have that now. It's not that the strangers were standing there with us receiving the law. No, the Most High is giving us the law in its totality so we know how to deal with the strangers when they do come amongst us, right? So it says again, your little ones, your wives, and thy stranger that is in thy camp, from the hewer of thy wood unto the drawer of thy water, that thou shouldest enter into the covenant with the Lord thy God, and into his oath, which the Lord thy God maketh with thee this day. So the covenant is with us, not with everybody else, not with the stranger, with us. So what does that mean? Even when a stranger comes in amongst us, right? So it's almost like the expression when they say when in Rome, and you know what that means. That means you accept their philosophies and their customs, and you abide by their rules. Do as the Romans do. But when you in Israel, you now got to abide by our rules and agreement. You got to do as Israel do. You got to follow our rule. You got to follow our covenant. And we would not allow someone that's a stranger to come in, and just because they're a stranger dwelling amongst us, they can just do what they want to do. No. Especially not in the Holy Land. That's what the Lord is talking about this right now. You cannot, you have entered into this oath. If you have someone come within and they're your servant, your captive, and they're your hewer, they got to abide by this. Your children got to abide by this. Your wives got to abide by this. These people got to abide. Everyone has to abide by this standard. That's the key. It says in verse 12 again, that thou shouldest enter into the covenant with the Lord thy God, and into his oath, which the Lord thy God maketh with thee this day, that he may establish thee today for a people unto himself, and that he may be unto thee a God or a power, as he have said unto thee, and as he have sworn unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that standeth here with us this day before the Lord our God, and also with him that is not here with us this day. Meaning what? So now when we're reading the commandment and it's like, okay, we're getting the law and we're agreeing to this. The Most High is saying, this is not just for y'all that's standing here right now. This oath carries over to those that's coming in the generations to follow. It's like what they call generational, you know how they say generational wealth or generational inheritance? Yeah. We have generational covenant. Right? It doesn't just stop with the people that was thinking it today or that moment. It carried on even up until 2020, June 13th, right? It kept going on. That's what the Lord is saying. Verse 16. For ye know how we have dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the nations which passed by. And ye have seen their abominations and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them. lest there should be among you man or woman or family or tribe whose heart turneth away this day from the Lord our God to go and serve the gods of these nations, lest there should be among you a root that beareth gall and wormwood, right? Which means reminding us what we did, what we came out of, and you've seen all these other nations, whatever philosophy, false gods, whatever, y'all seen them. But make sure that you don't get seduced by that. And then someone gets that leaven in them. They get that wickedness in them. That's what the reference is talking about, that beareth gall and wormwood, right? When you, if you have, I've had it, unfortunately, one time before, the wormwood, which is like, it's very bitter, but it's like an hallucinogen almost, where it causes you to, yeah, it's right. In some cases, they'll say if you take like small portions of it, it's kind of like a pain reliever in certain cases. But when you take a lot of it, it'll have you, you know, bug out. But now, in that same context, that person or individual who has that spiritually, like wormwood or gall, that causes them to bug out and go and follow some other gods, that person now is going to have to receive the judgment that follows from entering into the curse, right? It says in verse 19, and it come to pass when he heareth the words of this curse, that he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the imagination of mine heart, to add drunkenness to thirst, right? So now he's reminded, yo, you know we're not supposed to be doing that. You know the Most High doesn't want us to do this. And he said, yeah, I hear you. But he blesses himself, meaning now he's taking the authority of himself that says, yeah, I got this. I can do this. I'm cool. There's no problem with this. Or he's listening to these other guys or these false philosophies that makes him do what he's wanting to do, right? Go to Isaiah 30, because it says he blesses himself. Go to Isaiah 30. And 1. Isaiah 30 and 1. I'm going to read down to 3. So Isaiah 30 and 1 says, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, right? So destruction, despair is coming to those individuals, those rebellious individuals who say, listen, I found out some more information from some other books, right? And the other books, see, that one book is good, but there's some other information. And what I've learned is that we can do such and such, right? And they start to bless themselves with this knowledge and thinking that they have more control and they have more knowledge than even what the Most High has, right? They start to cover themselves spiritually with a covering that's not from the Most High. What does that mean? Remember, in Numbers, the 15th chapter, the Most High told us to do what, right? What were we physically supposed to do? Numbers 15:38. Yeah. Somebody get that real quick. Cover with the covering, but not of my spirit. Numbers 15 and 38.
Numbers chapter 15, verse 38. Speak unto the children of Israel and bid them that they make them fringes in the border of their garments throughout their generation, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon band of blue.
Right. So that's a physical apparel. Like how you know nations have attire that represents them, right? This was the attire the Most High wanted Israel to have to represent us. Not just a physical thing of people look and say, oh, you know, they got nice prints and things like that, you know, it's cool. But it meant more to us than just that. How much more? Read.
Verse 39. And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord, and do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a-whoring.
Right. So the physical garments became to represent spiritual or mental garments. Right. So when you look upon the fringe and I see somebody with them, I'm like, oh, it's supposed to remind me in my mind of the commandments, and that I'm supposed to spiritually cover myself with the commandments. Right. That's how I walk. So now with what we're reading in Isaiah, it says that they cover with the covering, but not of my spirit, because that means that these laws or these practices that they're following didn't come from his commandments. It came from somewhere else. Right. So they have now covered themselves mentally with laws and commandments. Those fringes mean something different, or they're not even wearing fringes, or they don't care about fringe. They care about something different. Right. So the Lord said again, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that taketh counsel, but not of me, and that cover with the covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Verse 2, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Meaning what? What does that mean? They walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Took upon himself to do what?
Disobey orders of the commandments of the Most High.
Yeah, we got that from the first book, but this is saying something a little bit more specific. What'd you say, Al? Right. They went and to go follow the culture of the Egyptians and follow their ways, and not the Most High. Right. So it says they walked down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves with the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. We're supposed to be trusting in the shadow of the covering of the Most High, but they trust in Egypt, which you have a lot of people that do right now. They trust in society more than they trust the Most High. They trust and follow those laws and those commandments, and not the Most High's commandments. So the Most High is like, hold on. Like I've shown you time and time again throughout different pages and empires and that this was all for you. How do you now leave me and go and trust the nations that at one point I had you destroyed? Now they are a power, and now you trust in them more than me, right? Verse 3, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. Because when the Most High begins to now wreak havoc on Pharaoh, Egypt, right? And this is now, we're in Isaiah. So this is not really talking about ancient Egypt when we came out of Egypt. This is something that the Most High is prophesying about. This is now modern day Egypt. There's a modern day Pharaoh that's going on. There's a modern day trust that's going on with Egypt. The Most High says, okay, you want to trust in all that they have and all that they teach you? Fine. That's going to be your shame. That's going to be your ruin. When I begin to take them down, guess who's going right along with it? The blind lead the blind. They both going to fall into a ditch. This here is supposed to elevate your mind and give you protection, but you're choosing to go follow something that is not of the Most High. Woe to the rebellious children, right? So that's why it's kind of, we're betwixt each other. We betwixt ourselves when we see what happens to our people out there in the world, and how some of us are going through certain atrocities, but we know it's because they don't trust in the Most High, right? But at the same time, the people who are doing those atrocities to them, we're upset for doing that, right? It reminds me like when David, we talked about this a few weeks ago, when David found out how Saul died, and the Edomite came and told Saul, he said, yeah, I ran to tell you that King Saul died, and he told me to kill him before someone else would get him. And he's standing, he's like, wait, you feel comfortable telling me this? That you killed one of the Most High's anointed? Nah. Fall on him, right? As we said, fall on him, meaning take him out, right? Even though David knew that Saul was wicked,
right?
But David still couldn't stand to see another nation come and take down one of the Most High's anointed. So that's why sometimes we betwixt the understanding how our people act and conduct themselves, but at the same time, we still don't want or accept Esau or the nation just coming and just dealing with them any old kind of way, right? So that's where the challenge remains for those of us who have our eyes and ears open. All right, so let's go back. 29.
Oh, what?
So Deuteronomy 29, and we have verse 20 now. So it says, the Lord will not spare him, but then the anger of the Lord and his jealousy shall smoke against that man, and all the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him, and the Lord shall blot out his name from under heaven, right? So again, we entered into a blessing and a curse, the oath that comes with judgments, right? It's like when you go and you sign get a credit card, right? Credit card, and in your mind you're thinking this is gonna come in handy for me, right? You know what I mean? Where I need to get a new bed set or a new car or something, whatever it is, and I may not have cash on hand, right? So I can use this credit card and go and charge it up as like a loan until I make payments on it. So you say, okay, cool. You go to Chase or you go to Citibank and you say, all right, cool. And they say, hey, sure. Matter of fact, we feel that you are worthy of getting $20,000 credit on this card, right? And you're like, all right, cool. And they say, well, we'll give you an interest rate of about 17%, somewhere in that. Do you agree to that? Sure. You're not even caring about the percentage. All in your mind is that you get a credit card and you got some doggone capital on the credit card to go and do some things with, right? Most of our people don't really care about or think about what the interest means. Right. I got the car, I got that plastic, right? So then they say, okay, fine. But now in the fine print, if you fail to miss a payment, then we have the right to increase the interest rate and to add a penalty on top of that. Yeah, I got it. That's cool, I got it. Okay, do you want to go over these penalties? He's like, nah, that's cool. In my mind, I ain't gonna never not pay. I'm gonna pay. I'm gonna make sure that I only buy small things so I can pay and get it over and done with. Right. Then you get the card, you buy your first thing, you pay the bill, you feel good about yourself. It's like, oh yeah, this is good, right? And then time goes on. And then you start seeing other things out there. You look and he's like, that was only like $170 some. I paid that off before the month ended, right? It's like, let me jack it up. You go out there and you get a bedroom set, right? Bedroom set about $1,700. And then you're like, all right, cool, right? So now I'm gonna pay the minimum, which is about $202. Okay, cool, I'll pay that. Right, you're paying it, and then all of a sudden you've gotten to acquire other things. You loaned this person, they ain't get back, and now your money getting a little bit short. Right. So now the bill comes, and you're like, you know what? I'll pay that next month. I ain't paying that right now. Right. And they come and they see, you're supposed to make that payment on the first. First ain't happened, and they ain't come in. Mm-hmm. But we put in there, we're gonna give them a grace period, right? Where ain't nothing gonna happen to you right now. You got 5 days to get everything straight. Get yourself together, right? Go find whatever, rob Peter, pay Paul, whatever. I don't care, long as you pay me. The 5th day come, they ain't got the payment. Now, guess what? On their behalf, they happy. Right. The creditors is happy because that's how they make money, right? They don't make money when you pay on time. When you say, hey, I'm going to charge $179, and then you pay $179 before the month ends or the bill comes, they don't like people like that, right? They like people who don't make payments, who are slow on making payments. Right. So now you miss the month and they say, oh, we're going to add $200 onto your bill. You're like, $200? Come on, what are you talking about, man? That's us. Hey, you entered into this agreement. You signed on the line. You said all that you say we will do. So you've accepted the punishment that comes with it. You can't complain now. Right. When it happens to you. That's the same thing that the Most High is saying to Israel. You can't complain now. You and your forefathers entered into this years ago. I told them then, this doesn't happen just to you. This happens to the generations that come after you. If they don't do it, guess what? It's going to fall on them. If they're ignorant and they don't know that they were supposed to do it, too bad. Their parents were supposed to have told them, right? So now you're still in it. The only way you come out of it is if you abide by the agreement, right? Settle your debt. Come back and say, hey, my bad, I apologize. So now usually what happens is you go back to your creditor and you say, look, give me a break. Give me a break. I owe, my debt was really $1,700, but now I see it's like $4,800 with all these penalties and increases. Like, come on, cut me a break here, right? Be merciful to me. Can you take off some, or if I make a big payment, can you give me a little leniency? And the creditors have their discretion on if they want to do that or not. That's when we come back and we say, Most High, I apologize. I didn't know. Can you have mercy on me? Well, the Most High already told us in Isaiah, the 1st chapter, that when we come to him and we reason with him, he has the power to wash your debt clean. He can wash all of that off, all of it. And now say, okay, we're going to start back and reset. Now here you are reset. Now you know that this is what you are supposed to do. Now you know the rules and the agreement that has been established. So now let's move forward and see how you act. And then I'm going to deal with you on that regard. That's what the Most High has been showing us throughout the different time periods. Even to the time that Yahushua and John the Baptist and the apostle walked, they were coming with that same measure of repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Most High is merciful. Come back. Don't wait until the Most High's decree come out. Don't wait till then, right? So you got some people who are, procrastinators, like, yeah, I hear you, that's cool, I got you. They come back like, yo, you gonna settle up? I got you, right? And then they get to a point where they see you coming, they running away, they're like, all right, cool. Most times I had no problem. I won't even bother you no more. And then a decree come, and then it's too late, right? That's how the Most High is operating. But I'm gonna read 20 again. And the Lord will not spare him, but then the anger of the Lord and his jealousy shall smoke against that man. Let's go to Isaiah 45. Isaiah, the 45th chapter. And this is what I want. No, not 45. Right, 65. Isaiah 65. First verse. Isaiah 65 and 1. So Isaiah 65 says, and 1, I am sought of them that ask not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me unto a nation that was not called by my name. I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that was not good after their own thoughts. A people that provoke me to anger continually to my face, that sacrificeth in gardens and burneth incense upon altars of brick, which remain among the graves and lodge in the mountains, which eat swine's flesh, and broth of abominable things is in their vessels, which say, stand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than thou. These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burneth all the day, right? So like I said, when they see you coming, they're like, I don't want to hear you. I don't want to deal with it, right? This is the rebellious people that the Most High says is like a smoke in his nose. Now, I recall years ago, I haven't heard this discussion in a long time, but years ago, my Rastafarian brothers and my brothers who like to deal with smoking weed, they use this to justify, to say, see, the Most High smoke. Look, it just said, these are a smoke in my nose. So, you know, when you're smoking, the snow coming, see, the Most High, he smokes too. This is what we do. This is why we smoke the ganja. No. Context and understanding is very key. Like it says, wisdom is the principal thing, but with all that get understanding.
Right.
This smoke is not talking about smoking weed. We didn't think when we was watching cartoons growing up, and in the cartoons, when somebody got steaming mad and the smoke came out of their nose, that they were smoking weed in the cartoons. That was never the understanding that we saw when we was watching it. Why is it that now when we see the Most High and all he's talking about is his anger towards his rebellious children? That's what it's just dealing with, anger. The smoke that's coming off his nose and the fire that burneth is getting to how mad the Most High is acting. Right? That's like when they say someone is steaming mad. Right. I'm steaming hot right now. They don't mean that you physically boiling. It means that your mind, you can't deal with what's going on. Right. It's like you're about to pop your top, blow your lid, like how a kettle burns and the smoke coming out. And if it is beeping, that's what this is talking about. But again, like I said, I remember having these conversations like, and you know, and y'all know me, sometimes I like to hear a lot of different philosophies and doctrines. And when I heard that years ago, I was like, what? Are you kidding? Where'd you get this from? Who told you this? But, you know, the wicked will justify, you know, any old thing. But it's the same thing that the Most High is showing us as far as for his anger and his disdain for Israel for not following or keeping his commandments, that how angry and how mad he gets. So now let's go back to Deuteronomy 29. Um,
20.
21. So this is verse 21 now, the water. It says, and the Lord shall separate him unto evil out of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the law, right? So that individual who wants to bless himself and stand on his own and think he's mightier and smarter and wiser than the Most High, and then he's more industrious to go and try to teach that to his people, the Most High said he's going to separate him and cut him off, right? And then impose upon him all the curses that's written in this book. Go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel 14.
And what?
Ezekiel 14 and I'm gonna start at 6. Ezekiel 14 and 6. All right. So it says, therefore say unto the house of Israel, thus saith the Lord God, repent and turn yourselves from your idols and turn away your faces from all your abominations. For every one of the house of Israel or of the stranger that sojourneth in Israel, which separateth himself from me and setteth up his idols in his heart and putteth the stumbling block of his iniquity before his face and cometh to a prophet to inquire of him concerning me, I, the Lord, will answer him by myself, and I will set my face against that man and will make him a sign and a proverb, and I will cut him off from the midst of my people, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. Right? So, you know, there's a point I want to do a class of, you know, proving God, or how do you prove God or justify the Most High, right? And a good portion of it is, like the scripture says, through his judgments. Right? Through his judgments, meaning what the Most High has declared that he says happen, will happen, what happened, is happening, and will happen is his declaration, his judgment. That's how you prove the Most High, his consistency of what he has declared, right? So you can start going back in history and time and say, yeah, during the 1940s or 50s or the 1960s, the Most High declared through revelation that this was going to happen in this world war, right? That you would see these types of things happening in the earth. This type of death would be happening. This type of mind state will be happening with the people. Now, you go back to 1910, it never happened yet, but the Bible was here already. The Most High had already declared that this was going to happen before it happened, and then 30, 40 years later, it happened as it's being described, right? So this record is now justifying the Most High's existence through his judgments, right? Because a lot of people will say, show me God. If there's a God, tell him to come in right now. Tell him to come right here now. Tell him to do something right now. I want to see it. Do something. Come on. Like the scripture tell you, the Jews require a sign, right? Everybody want to see something. Like, okay, have him burn that up right there. Oh, he can't? Oh, man, see? Exactly, right? But that's not how the Most High operate. You can't tempt the Most High. You can't. That's like, you know how a parent, when they have people come over the house, right? And they say, oh, your kids they're so cute and so this, that. He was like, oh, yeah, little Robbie, he could dance. Go ahead, Robbie, go out there and show that new dance you could do. And Robbie reluctant, he's like, oh, man, I don't really want to dance. All right, Robbie going out there, oh, that's so cute. You can't do that to the Most High, man. You ain't gonna go to the Most High and say, Most High, go ahead. Go show them how. No, we're talking about the Most High. We ain't talking about little Robbie. We talking about the Most High, right? So the Most High is going to show his judgment, his power through the events that happen in the earth. Whether you hear or whether you forbear is on you, right? You'll see it later on. That's why the Lord said, you better take heed before the real decree come out. And then I show you again who I am. The Egyptians had to find out the hard way. The Assyrians had to find out the hard way. There's a lot of different times when the Most High came forth and showed them the hard way. But he don't always just come out and just show it every old time. Sometimes people got to build up on faith. That's what this is, right? Go ahead.
Oh, I just want to read it. After Exodus 20, after the 10 Commandments, Exodus 20, verse 18, right? And it says, Exodus 20, verse 18, and all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off.
Right.
So after the 10 Commandments the Most High gave us, everybody just backed off.
Right. You had people that was afraid. At some point, they was like, yo, Moses, why you got to be the only one to go talk to the Most High? Like, why what make you so important? Right. Like, even his brother and his sister came in there, was asking him, right? Aaron and Miriam was coming, was like, yo, well, you ain't the only one. And the Most High to say, oh, yeah? Let me tell you something about him that's different from y'all, right? And then because you said that, Miriam, I know, made Miriam leprous, right? To show that, listen, yeah, you made Miriam leprous when you read the numbers. To show that you don't just test the Most High, you don't push her, you don't just come in and say, you're going to step in when you want to step in. The Most High chooses who he wants, right? That's how it is. So the Most High will do when he wants to do, and then he will sit back and observe and see and prove people based on his silence, right? I want to see what happens and how you act and what you do and the decisions that you make. Because I've already given you my judgment. I want to see if you're going to be attentive and do based on what I said. So now, go back to Deuteronomy 29. We have verse 22 now. So it says, so that the generation to come of your children that shall rise up after you, and the stranger that shall come from a far land shall say, when they see the plagues of that land and the sicknesses which the Lord have laid upon it, and that the whole land thereof is brimstone and salt and burning, that is not sown nor beareth, nor any grass groweth therein, like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and Admah and Zeboim, which the Lord overthrew in his anger and in his wrath, right? So you normally always hear about Sodom and Gomorrah, but the other places that you're seeing here, Admah and Zeboim, these are also cities that was around during the time of Sodom and Gomorrah that also felt the same wrath, right? And then you'll see it in other chapters where it references how the Most High destroyed during that time, but it doesn't name Sodom and Gomorrah. It talks about these other names. So now when you see these other names, I think it was, I can't remember where it was, but it references it in the sense of sin and how they were abominable, that one of the tribes was as abominable as them acting back then, right? So when you see that name, if they chose Zeboim, you'd be like, Zeboim? The heck is Zeboim? I never heard of Zeboim, but now you got a point of reference that it says like the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and Admah and Zeboim. All of them was in that region. These were surrounding cities that got overthrown as well, that rained down fire and brimstone, right? Because of the sin or the wickedness. It says, even all nations shall say, wherefore hath the Lord done this unto this land? What meaneth the heat of this great anger, right? So even the far off nations are going to look like they did during the time of the Egyptians and say, what happened? Why did that happen like that? What happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? What happened? Oh, let me tell you what happened. The God of Israel had this fire come down on that region because they were sinful. And they said, word, that God was that angry that he did that? Yeah, right? So much so that's what you read in Joshua, I think it's the 2nd chapter, with Rahab the harlot. She recognized what the Most High had done for Israel. And not only her, but all her people. She says they have their heart, their hands have fainted or melted. I got to read it now since I'm messing it all up. I see this brother looking at me like, what is he talking about? So let's go to Joshua chapter 2. Joshua chapter 2 and verse 8. Joshua chapter 2, verse 8. So Joshua chapter 2, verse 8, it says, and before they were laid down, she came up unto them upon the roof. The she is Rahab, a heathen, right? It says, and she said unto the men, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. Now, why does she say this? It says, for we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the 2 kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. We just read that in Deuteronomy 29, right? Verse 11, and as soon as we had heard these things, our hearts did melt. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. Now, therefore, I pray you, swear unto me by the Lord, since I have showed you kindness, that you will also show kindness unto my father's house and give me a true token. So what she was asking for was mercy, right? We know what y'all capable of. We know what your God is capable of. Most people not going to even want to stand up and fight. So we know y'all coming. Promise me, swear to me that you will show kindness to me and my father's house, that y'all won't destroy us, as she has showed kindness to them, because she did show favor unto them, right? So now that's the token where it's like, okay, you know what? All right, cool. When you read it, they told her, they gave her the token. Make sure you have this showing so that when the men come, they can see it and they realize and know that, okay, you the one that Joshua and them talked about, or the men talked about, and they don't harm you. Right? Same thing with us. When the Most High said, put the blood on your doorposts, right? That was our token. So that when we had the blood on our doorposts, the angel wouldn't come and harm us, right? Same thing today, right? That was a physical blood on the doorpost. Now you got to have the spiritual blood on your doorposts. You are the temple. You are the building. So now you got to have Yahushua in you spiritually, in your mind. So when that day comes, that they won't harm you, or you will get harmed. That's what this is the same thing that's talking about. So that was mercy shown or favor shown to Rahab the harlot back then. One may conceive or contrive that, you know, if you're in a region where it's not utterly destroyed, because the whole earth is not going to be destroyed during the time when Christ and the angels come, and you may have somebody who might have shown you some favor, right? Now, and they still alive, and they say, yo, remember I fed you? I looked out for you, right? And you're like, all right. You kind of think back to Joshua and say, we ain't going to kill you, but you're going to have to be a draw of a cure of wood and a draw of water, right? I will do that for you, right? They cannot be on the same level as you. They can't sit at the table with you. Yahushua laid that out plainly when you read in Matthew, the 15th chapter, right? They get the crumbs. They can't sit at the table, right? So that's the measure and the understanding that the Most High has separated in all nations. Like when you read Deuteronomy 32:8, he divided the nations up. Everybody ain't the same. Everybody on the same level when it comes to the chosen, right? So the beauty of it, the Most High has it scattered throughout. So in the end, like it tells you in Isaiah, it tells you in Matthews, we're going to be gathered from America, from South America, from Africa, from Europe, from the United Kingdom, from Australia. We are everywhere, right? We are everywhere. You have remnants of us in every country. Maybe not as much in Russia, but I'm pretty sure we might have some of us up there in Russia too. Y'all can
like travel,
huh?
Israelite
travels, yeah. Military. Right. That's like how right now I see in the news, you got it because of the coronavirus. You got you had this faction where people was having a lot of surrogate mothers or children being born in other countries. Right. And they traveled to these countries. One I seen this morning before I came, it was a couple, but it wasn't Israel because it was a Edomite man and I believe she looked like she was Israel. But they traveled to Ghana, right, to go and pick up the baby that was born through in vitro fertilization, which happens a lot. I was unaware that this is like a thing. It's a thing because they are unable to get back because of the restrictions on the airlines, right? So they're stuck over in Ghana. They're stuck over in these European countries or these different places. So if you have certain things like that where you have Israel who is stuck like that, or just say, you know what, I'm just going to make this my place. Or you have military soldiers who go to these different places in the auspices of the orders and direction, and they go have children by these women of the land, right? Now, these are heathen women, but their children is of their father, which makes them, so now they're grown up there, right? And they might now be living in these countries and going on YouTube and watching Samaka or Zaquan or these brothers from different camps like, yo, this is interesting. They talk about me. Let me do some little research. Yeah, they're taking out, oh, this is all, yo, I'm the sheep. I'm hearing the voice of Christ. This is talking about me. Now they living in some, I don't know, weird country somewhere, and they now have to be redeemed from where they are, right? Because they heard the verse through these mediums. So that's the beauty of how the Most High now has not left anyone, you know, alone just because they're not here in North America where the populace is.
Even I saw one time I saw a documentary. Some Jamaicans went to Ethiopia to live. So, you know, they complain about how the Ethiopians treat them nice for a little while and then they don't treat them nice. Yeah. So they're there because of, you know, Rastafari and so forth. Yeah. So, you know, some of them may come to the truth, or they choose, if they have children there, right, most likely they're gonna have children there. Right. Might even come to the truth. Right. So not like saying whatever to Africa. Right. Some of our people are there.
Right. Got it. All right. So let's go back. We're almost done with this chapter. So it says, we're at 24. It says, even all nations shall say, wherefore hath the Lord done this unto this land? What meaneth the heat of this great anger? Then men shall say, because they have forsaken the covenant of the Lord God of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them forth out of the land of Egypt. But they went and served other gods and worshipped them, gods whom they knew not and whom he had not given unto them. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against this land to bring upon it all the curses that are written in this book. And the Lord rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath and in great indignation, and cast them into another land as it is this day. Right? So this is a good precept that you link with Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Link chapter verse 28 and Deuteronomy 29:28 with Deuteronomy 28:68.
Yeah. 28. 28.
Right.
Verse 68.
Deuteronomy 28:68 links with Deuteronomy 29:28. And I'll tell you why.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
So let's go.
Verse 28 go to Deuteronomy.
Right. So we in verse 28 right now.
Right.
Link it up with Deuteronomy 28:68.
28. Yeah.
Right. So now I'm going to read Deuteronomy 28:68. Right. So it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Meaning what?
Here. You put it back here in America.
But we got to be more clear. What is it? Remember, when I said when we bringing this out, make it as if you're talking to a small child so they understand what it's talking about. So it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Meaning what? He's going to bring us back into bondage or captivity by way of slave ships. This is after we came out of Egypt, right? There's verses that tell you that we shall not ever go back into the physical land Mizraim again, right? That way we will never go. So this is talking about something different. So it says, the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way wherever I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. Meaning what?
We'll never go back to Africa.
We will never see our homeland, Israel, again. Israel, because that's the land that the Most High had given us. The land of Canaan became the land of Israel. We can't say the land of Africa because the continent Africa is a whole continent that deals with a whole bunch of countries.
Oh, okay.
We primarily talking about Israel.
Canaan.
And that going on with it said of the day. So when you're dealing with the Gentiles that's in there now,
Right.
you know, so he's saying to the states that said they ain't even supposed to be in it, they ain't nobody supposed to be in there until the day, so he's trying to take it back, that they're forced.
Exactly, right? Because now it was prophesied that we are still in that same space after this happened, right? Because once we went into slavery by way of slave ships, at that time, the people that's over there are not the people because the slave ships went somewhere else. So how could they be the people if the ships went somewhere else to serve slavery or captivity, right? That's why it says, thou shalt see it, the land, no more again. So that's why I'm precepting that with this in 28, where it says, and the Lord rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath and in great indignation and cast them into another land as it is this day, right? So now when we left Israel, when we fled out of Israel and the Most High brought us into captivity, we was rooted out of that land. The Most High thrust us out, right? And then it says, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall save you. We know that's dealing with slavery, right? And no one was going to redeem us or save us. All right, Kun.
All right.
So now let's go back. Last verse. Oh.
What it says down here, ye shall be sold unto your enemies. Okay, I got that part. Bondsmen and bondwomen. And no man should buy you. Explain that to me. And I'll ask that.
Kun. All right, yeah, I know you did 28 that night for the class. Deuteronomy 28:68, last precept.
No man shall buy you.
Mm-hmm.
Buy and say, no man shall save us, or redeem us. The same word. Save us. Only Yahweh.
Okay.
Not no Reverend Al Sharpton.
Okay.
Not no Malcolm X. Not none of them. No man can save us.
Okay.
Right. So in that, like the brother and the sister said, it means redeem. But even if you use the word itself as an expression, it's based on context. Because in the same format, when someone gets in trouble, right? You committed a crime or you've done some kind of injustice, whatever that is, and you get now jailed or someone now is holding you accountable for it. And now a judgment is supposed to happen. They say, listen, you can't save yourself from this behind whipping that you're about to get, right? Nobody's coming to redeem you or get you out of what you just got yourself into. You earned this one, right? So in the same context, because of the sin, this is the curse. Nobody's coming to save you from this curse. You bought this. You did this. So you have to go through it. So you can't save yourself from this one. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Nobody gonna be able to go and as you say that, which is kind of interesting, you know, I remember having conversations. I think I brought it up in the past when I used to have conversations with my Muslim brothers. They would say when we started getting into, you know, Isaac and Ishmael, right? They'll say, well, over time, we went and took the covenant. They took the covenant. I was like, what? How do you what? You went up to the Most High and said, look, Most High, I understand that you made a covenant with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, but we want it now. And they physically took it. How do you take an agreement that has been made by the Most High and someone else? How do you take words? How do you take the oath physically? It's impossible. What are you talking about? But conceptually in their brain, in their mind, that's what they're taught that they did, or someone did, that they went and took the covenant. So now the covenant rests with Ishmael. Okay. It sounds good, right? To them, to validate what they're dealing with sounds good, but it doesn't make sense. Yeah, it don't even make it. You know, sometimes, you know, when I follow a lot of the ideologies, I follow along with it to understand how they believe that, or why they believe what they believe, right? But certain things just don't even make surface sense. Like if me and you got an agreement, and how he gonna come and say, nah, the agreement ain't with you two no more, it's between me and you. No, the agreement's between us still. You can go and believe what you want, but the agreement is still going to stay right here, right? It just doesn't make plausible sense. So now, last verse 29.
Right.
It says, the secret things belong unto the Lord our God, but those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. Meaning what? Huh? Do all his commandments. What else? It's saying something else too.
And children and all our children follow his law.
So on the surface, right? Just on the first part of what is being said. Give me 1 second. So on the surface, it says the secret things belong unto the Lord our God. Which means that there are certain things that nobody knows.
Right. Okay.
Of what the Most High's will has done in the heavens and in the earth, a lot of people don't know. Right? It starts and rests with him. But then it says, but those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever. Right? So when the Most High wants to reveal those secret things that the nations or a lot of people like to fathom and conceptualize about, the Most High says, I see him, but I'm going to give it to y'all. I'm about to break this down to y'all. I'm about to show you this vision. I'm about to give you the breakdown of what was going on there. And then y'all, my witnesses, are going to be the ones that's going to take it forward, right? That's what this is. That's being very selective with nations. And he only chose one to have this being done with, right? So go to Ephesians. Got one in Psalms? Go to Ephesians. First chapter. And I'm going to start at 4. What is this? First chapter. All right. So Ephesians 1 and 4, it says, according as he have chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love, right? Other books would say predestinated before the foundation of the world. Same thing, right? It says that we should be holy and without blame before him in love, having predestinated, that is, us unto the adoption of children by Jesus Christ to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will, to the praise of the glory of his grace, wherein he have made us accepted in the beloved, in whom we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins, according to the riches of his grace, wherein he have abounded toward us in all wisdom and prudence, having made known unto us the mystery of his will, according to his good pleasure, which he hath purposed in himself. So the mystery of his good will has been given to us. So when a lot of people read the Bible, it's a mystery. You're not going to always be easy to understand the mystery until someone come and aid you or guide you and says, let me break it down for you. And that person, that aid, has to be a servant of the Most High, because the servant are the ones who are being given the mysteries of his will, right? Colossians, first chapter. Colossians, the first chapter. And the 26th verse. Colossians 1 and 26 says, even the mystery which have been hid from ages and from generations, but now is made manifest to his saints. And who are the saints? The servants, the children of Israel. Psalms 50 and 5, Psalms 148, 14. The children of Israel are the saints, right? So when the word saint is thrown out, it's what has been given to us as a title, separated, holy, right? That's what that word means. We have been separated from everyone else. So the saints were prescribed to us as a nation. This is where the mystery has been shown to, right? The Most High is not just going to other nations and giving them the mystery of his will outside of his chosen people, right? There you go. Exactly. Right. So one more, Ezekiel, I think it's 38. Hopefully it's the one. Ezekiel 38. Ezekiel 38 and 17. Ezekiel 38 and 17. Right. Yeah. So this is Ezekiel 38, 17. It says, thus saith the Lord God, art thou he of whom I have spoken in old time by my servants, the prophets of Israel, which prophesied in those days many years that I would bring thee against them. What is that verse telling you? That the servants, like we read in Romans 9, the prophets come from where? Out of Israel, right? You can't have the title of saying that you're a prophet, but you come from another nation, right? I know that's what you see in churches and you see out in the world, that these evangelists and these such and such people. But according to scripture, Old Testament, New Testament, hidden books and known as the Apocrypha, the servants and the prophets of the Most High, thus saith the Lord, come from Israel, right? That's how we kind of negate when we talk, when we get into Muhammad. He's the last prophet.
Right.
The Bible says that they come from Israel. A prophet of the Most High got to come from Israel. So how is he the last one of what he was never included in?
Yeah.
According to scripture. But now if you want to cover yourself with another covering, then you do that and you'll get the judgment that's going to come with it. Right? So that's what this is. The mysteries is revealed to us. Right? And then it also talks about, when you go deeper into it, the type spirit that the Most High is looking to reveal those things to, right? And the Lord, as a nation, he chooses and selects certain individuals to receive certain things. Not that the nation itself, everybody gets certain mysteries. No. Remember, when you're reading the scriptures, like Daniel was able to see certain visions about the kingdoms. But Daniel himself wasn't given the breakdown of what he saw. You read in Ezra, the Most High told Ezra, he said, look, I showed Daniel this, but he didn't even see this that I'm about to give to you. Right. Not to say that Daniel wasn't a righteous man, because he was a righteous young man and an older man. But the Most High didn't reveal certain things even to him. Right. He chose another man to bring it out. And then that man brought forth the word for all of us. That's how it operates. So the Most High, even within the nation, can choose who he wants. Right? No one can go and say, well, Most High, why you chose Ezra and you ain't choose him? Why you, Yahweh, why did you always just roll with Peter, James, and John? What about the rest of them? Did you not like them? I roll with who I roll with. What is it to you? That's what Yahweh is supposed to say. What do you care? Just do my will. That's all you have to worry about. Right? So that's the bottom line of what the Most High wants us to do, is just to follow his will, and then he will bring certain gifts to you. Right? Where you may have a spirit to be able to do certain things. You may be able to go through and break down interpretations. You may be the one chosen to deal with counsel. You may be one who has been given a spirit of might, like Samson was at one point, right? The Lord can distribute different gifts to you for you to accomplish his will and not give it to somebody else. But we rely on you because the Most High blessed you with it to come and help and save the nation with it. That's how the Lord will operate. It's not for us to be envious. Yeah, it's not for me to be like, why I wanted that gift. Like, why didn't the Most High give me that? I wanted to be able to read different languages fluently and hear one thing and say another. Like, why he got to get that gift? I prayed for that, man. That's not the right spirit, right? I remember, I see your hands. I remember when we was at camp. The first time we went to camp, we was up in Patterson. I think it was Patterson, either Patterson or Elizabeth. I think it was Patterson. And we had one of the brothers in our camp who was a Northern Tribe brother. Get it again with an A. I can see his face. I can't get his name right now. But we was out of camp, and a group of Northern Tribe people came by the camp. Now, prior to this, you know, you go out to camp and you see like some Puerto Ricans or whatever come by, and they really speak their language. And then me, I can't speak that. I can't go into it like that. But it was just this day that the brother came was with us in our camp, because sometimes back then we used to divide up our camps. We used to have like 3 and 4 camps. You go here, you go there, you go here. And we went different ways. This brother was at my camp this day, and the group came through, and we was passing out Spanish flyers, and we asking them, they speak English. It was like, no. So the brother stepped up. He's like, all right, I'll speak to him. He pulled out the Spanish Bible and everything, and he's reading in Spanish, and he's breaking down. I was standing like, yeah, this is the club. I felt so invigorated to see that, because now it wasn't that, oh, I want to do that. I was like, yo, I'm happy that somebody within the body is capable of doing this. And then it went into, oh, somebody got the Haitian Bible. And now you're dealing with brothers who deal with Haitian or Patois or Creole and different language. You can speak to them. I was like, yo, this is great, because we now covering the bases. Right. I'm not envious because he could do that and I can't do that. Right. I'm just happy that the Most High has someone doing that within our camp to bring out truth. So that's how it is, right? So the Lord will reveal certain things to us, but specific individuals, and then we'll get the breakdown, or we'll get the understanding from it when the time comes. All right. So that was Ezekiel 38:17. All right. So that was the last verse in 29. It is 12:30. We're going to take a break. 30 minutes. We'll come back at 1 o'clock to do chapter 30. All right. So stretch your legs, get something to drink, get something to eat, lawful, no cooking, and we'll return and do the second half of the service. All right. Oh, Salag, I forgot. Many members, one body. Kun, exactly.
What is it Romans 12 and what?
1 Corinthians 12. 1 Corinthians 12. 1 Corinthians 12 chapter. She meant 1 Corinthians 12.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. 1 Corinthians 12.
And what verse?
Read the whole chapter. The whole chapter is good. Goes into the whole thing.
1 Corinthians 12, right?
Yeah, Kun.
Whole chapter.